Simulcast on the acclaimed Also Smooth Radio.com station, as well as the renowned Mixcloud.com platforms. On FlyRadio.com. On ReggieMiles.com. Best of everything. 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific, 3 to 6 p.m. Mountain, 4 to 7 p.m. Central, and 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern. This is Smooth Shy Steppin with Mixmaster Rudy Dottin.
This is the extended hour for We the People with Katura Greene. Katura, what is going on? I know you've got so much to talk about. What's happening out there?
Well, first and foremost, it's a beautiful day here
Yes.
in the Carolinas. The weather is beautiful, and I'm digging it. Been out there pretty much in and out most of the day, so yes.
What's the temperature like out there?
I didn't even look at the temperature. Once I walked out the door and I felt the warmth and I saw the sun shining, that's all I needed.
That's nice. That's nice. And where's your husband? Is he around?
No, he's not. He's not here tonight.
You
so
got
I'm
the whole
gonna
place?
be-
So it's just you and me?
Yeah, I'm gonna be on
Okay.
my own tonight. But
Okay.
he's tuning in.
He's tuning in.
from
Great,
where
great.
he is.
That is
Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful. What do you have in store tonight? What's some of the subject matters that you have before we go to you live all the way?
Well, I have a distinct one topic, and I'm sure it's going to take us in multiple directions. But this has been a topic that is a bit of controversial topic, and I usually stay away from those type topics. But as I thought about it and prayed about it and thought about it some more, sometimes we're going to be uncomfortable to discuss certain things that are controversial.
Yes.
But I think that sometimes you need to be able to have both sides represented, not picking a side, not saying what's right and what's wrong, but being able to bring a different viewpoint to the entire situation so that everybody can come and be on one accord. So that's what I plan to do tonight. And the topic is going to be applied pressure versus public demand.
Yeah, applied pressure sounds scary to me.
Well, it could be.
Doctor,
It depends
please
on
don't apply
how you
don't
think.
apply no more pressure to that. It hurts already. Don't do it.
Yeah, but you know what? If you don't apply that pressure, you might something else may happen.
Yeah, you could
because
bleed. You could bleed
needed
out.
to. Absolutely,
You could bleed out.
absolutely.
Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness, man. All right, Katura. So that's wonderful. I know you attended a couple of events too. Did you do that as well?
Well, the last event that I did a review on it already out of Cleveland, Lolita's event, Lolita, Barbara, and two other, Shorty Smooth, and you put me on the spot because I sure didn't have his name written down. Sam's
Okay. All right.
event. And we did that. I did that review when I got back, but it was a great event. It was a smaller event, but when I tell you I had a ball, I had a ball.
That's
And
good.
sometimes I think I'm partial to smaller events because to me, they're more personable. You
Yes.
actually get the opportunity to actually see people and fellowship with people versus these large events where sometimes you don't see people the whole weekend. You may see them when you're leaving.
Right.
You
Right.
know.
I didn't know you was here. What? I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. You've been there the whole time, but you haven't seen them. So yeah,
Yes.
I really love the smaller events. They're typically, people from the area, and then people from all over, but just small bunches, and you get relationships formed that way. So I really like that. And then it also, of course, depends on your host, and
Yeah.
they are great hosts. So what more can you ask for?
Okay, well, we're going to play your theme song, and I'm going to switch some things over here. But, yeah, we appreciate you for this and getting everything together for We the People. It's going to be a real thing for us to hear what you have to say about the details and subject matters of Chicago Steppin'. So stand by.
Thank
All
you.
right, all right, let's play your song.
Yvonne, I'll let you join.
Let's slow it down. Let's hear what the heart's been saying. I see tired eyes in the morning light. So much weight in every breath. We've been trying just to make it through, holding hope with what we have left. Somewhere love got pushed aside, still waiting for a gentler way. We don't have to raise our voices to prove what's right or wrong. Anger only feeds the fire. Love is what keeps us strong. If we listen just a little more, maybe healing could begin. Talk to me, don't turn away. Let me see you where you stand. There's a truth between these lines. If we'd only reach our hands, tell me now before it's gone. Tell me what's going on. What's going on?
So, applied pressure versus public demand. I don't know if you guys have been following everything that's going on in the dance community. It's not just stepping that we have controversy going on. It's all across the dance community, and oftentimes things are not talked about, and they're not talked about for good reason, because it's uncomfortable when you're talking about something that affects people in their lives and their ways of thinking, because we're not always open to viewing things from a different lens. So my intent today is to actually talk about an issue that rose earlier this year, earlier this month, and how it was handled. Hey, Matt, how it was handled across the board, and that's not to take sides, but we're going to get all into that. So I'm just going to give you some things to think about beforehand. I'm going to give you a little history on why I think the way that I think, in addition to my own personal beliefs. So I spent years as a business analyst, right? And as a business analyst, I spent my time training, understanding concepts and perspectives, mostly understanding how to look at a project, not in a tunnel vision, because oftentimes we're only looking through our lens, which makes it a tunnel, right? So I had to learn how to begin to look at the broader scope when it comes to a project. The beginning, the middle, and the end. Not just the portion that I was responsible for, but the entire project. All right? So again, I want to emphasize, I am not choosing between right versus wrong here. And what I'm choosing is effective versus ineffective communication. Okay? So what we're talking about, what actually happened early this month when Pete Frazier and Snoopy appeared on Brian Forbes' radio show. They discussed Pete Frazier stepping down and appointing Snoopy to the new position. I'm not exactly sure what the actual position name is called, but it is basically he's going to be the new leader. He's going to be the new face. He's going to be the new brand of the world's largest stepping competition. So, hey Reggie. So, in that particular broadcast, after the announcement was made, Sunshine came on. I'm sure she was there all along, and I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't have her exact words. She wanted to know if he would address security concerns going forward about a specific person that he had a relationship with. And the way that it was worded was basically that he was best friends with this person, and how was he going to move forward with the organization now concerning her. Now, this was a valid concern, right? It was a valid concern, but it was also a past issue under a different leader, under a different leadership. Although he's a part of the Majestic Gents, he was not the head of the organization, right? Now, the question is, was this actually brought up with the past leader? Did Sunshine take this same concern to the past leader? That I don't know. I don't have any information on that. But that is a question. And if she did, how was it presented? And I guess the bigger question for me is, should that question be presented at that specific time? Right? Because at that time, they were introducing a whole new concept. Congratulations was in order because Pete was stepping down, and he thought of us enough, the people, the public, to appoint someone else to that position so that the world largest stepper competition could continue, right? Excuse me. Now, with Snoopy stepping into position that was handed to him, and he's taking on this big responsibility, was that a time to kind of rain on his parade, by asking the question in the way that it was asked? Now, Snoopy did give an answer. He gave an answer, but apparently the answer was not satisfactory to certain people. But you got to realize something. I'm sure he didn't think that question was going to be asked of him in the middle of him being appointed to a leadership position. Most people come on and congratulate you, are happy for you, giving accolades, and that was what's happening in the comments for the most part. But then there were also, the negative. Now let's be real here. You're always going to get some positive and some negative. But I would just think, me personally, and I can only speak of myself, I don't know if I would have asked that question that time. Maybe a phone call, maybe an inbox later, and maybe the way that it was presented should have been different. Right? Now, one could ask, why was the question asked at that moment? Was it to apply pressure to the situation? Something like a pressure tactic? Was it done that way? Was it for accountability purposes? Because you're on the spot right now, you got appointed to this new position. So now I'm going to ask you right before you even get a chance to do anything. This is my question to you. So let's talk about applied pressure, right? So, was that something that was a controlled target question? Do you think it was a respectful question at that time? Could the question been presented differently so that Snoopy would have been placed on guard? Even though he answered it respectfully, could that question have been asked differently? Let me give you an example. I wrote it down. You could have said something like, we understand that this was not under your leadership when this incident occurred. But moving forward, how do you plan to address concerns that some may have about potential security risks when it comes to past things that happened with certain individuals and future things that could happen with certain individuals? Now, you didn't necessarily have to name the relationship or the person, but you could have presented it in that way. And I think if it was presented in that way, he would have had, time to think about it and to get an answer together. But I believe that the way that the question was asked, it put him on a defense, as it did me. Because I thought to myself, was this the time? Was this the time? Was this the appropriate time? Not that the concern was not valid, but was this the appropriate time to ask that question in his moment of glory, right? So was that considered pressure or misapplied pressure? So let me give you an example, right? So, okay, let's say I have a cut, right? Got a cut in the kitchen, didn't mean to do it. And I got a white rag and I took it and I put it on my wrist and I pressed down on it, right? I'm applying pressure. I'm applying pressure and I have to keep it there for a while in order for the bleed to stop, right? I could do that. Or I could take a knife, scissors, anything sharp, and I could hit it in that same cut, right? Now that's still pressure. That's still pressure. And it's applied pressure, but is it going to stop the bleed or is it going to make the bleed worse? What do you think? Now, when it comes to the question, okay, let's say the question was asked during that time and you didn't get the satisfactory answer that you wanted. Another example of applied pressure versus public demand would be that question was already asked. He was aware that it was on the table. He was aware that he had to come back with a statement at some point. So at that point, you begin to see postings all over the internet in different groups at different times. Don't know if it was timed that way, but you begin to see these things in different areas at different times, asking the same thing. Is that misapplied pressure? And what was the intent? What was the perception? Even though the intent initially was valid, the delivery changed how it was received, right? Because you realize that perception is everything in a public space. So once you start putting that information in a public space, right? And different people who may not know what's going on, people who was not privy to what happened initially, how it happened, who were the people that was involved, all they see are these questions being asked over and over. They also see no one answering them, right? So now we're trying to figure out, exactly what's happening. And now we start to form opinions in our heads as to why this is happening. And then we may have some valid concerns, right? We may have some valid concerns, but then we add concerns on top of that. Now listen, the World Largest Stepper competition is not the only large event. It's not the only Steppers event. So people can go wherever they want, right? We have different people of all walks and lifestyles in the dance community, not just stepping, all across the gamut. Now you open up other questions, because if he's responsible for answering that, shouldn't all promoters be responsible for that, regardless of the size? Because every person has a right to go wherever they want, right? We don't have any formal ban rules in place for any of the events. And I guess my question is, we're all adults. We're all adults. No matter my relationship with you, if I have a relationship, let me just look on here. Teresa. If I have a relationship with Teresa, I can express to Teresa different methods, or I can express to her what my expectation is. It does not mean that she is going to comply to what I'm asking, because she is an adult, right? Now, I can suggest things all day long, and I would do that. But it's still up to Teresa what she does with that. If she decides that she wants to comply, or she wants to listen to what you have to say, but in no means can you make an adult do anything, right? So I'm thinking on side A meaning Sunshine, and those who agree with her approach. Public visibility forces accountability. That's one way that they could be thinking of it, right? They could be thinking of it that way. she's not entirely wrong in wanting answers, right? So that's a concern. All right. So now we have side B. They may feel like they're being challenged before they even got started, meaning the day that he was appointed, he was challenged already before he even got started. He hadn't had the opportunity to really come up with a full plan, because you already know anytime that you're doing something new, especially when it comes to rebranding, and that's what it is. It's a rebranding, because the fact of the matter is, the world largest stepper competition has been around a long time, right? You had leaders before the previous leader. You had previous people who was running it. Every time a new person gets it, they have to put their time, they have to put their stamp on it, right? But it takes time to do that. So for him to be bombarded right away with that, based on a controversy that did not happen under his leadership, was that right? And what was the intent? What was the true intent behind it? Was there animosity before this happened because of the relationship he had with the said person? Is there an underlying issue there? We don't know. Only they know, right? Only Sunshine knows. So that's something to consider. Was it being brought in good faith? Was it being brought because it was true concern based on this person's interaction with people, situations, multiple situations that happened across the Steppin community? Was it valid? But only for those reasons alone. Not anything personal, but for those specific reasons. And if it was, why not put together something, hey D, why not put together something and have it together where you can have this conversation, so you could say, all right, here's all these accounts. All right. Now, you give the person the opportunity to look at all those things and to take those things into consideration. I mean, it's just like going to the principal's office. You may go to the principal's office right away, but they don't have all the information together. They don't have all the information together to be able to say what they're going to do at that time. They may have to get 2 or 3 people to come in to say, okay, she did this during this time and this happened during this time, right? So you need time. You need time to process. You need time to gather the evidence. You need time to be able to be real about it with yourself. Make sure that even with business, you have to make sure your personal relationships are taken care of. So you may have to have some hard conversations, right? But I don't believe that time was given. It was, I'm asking a question right now, and I want to answer right now, and I'm going to keep posting until you give me those answers, right? Now, the timeline for the answers maybe should have been faster, but you got to be accountable for what you say. You can't be haphazard in your response. You have to take some time. You have to sit down. You have to think about the legal ramifications. You have to think about a lot of things. You're talking about a large organization. This is not somebody who does sets here and there and everywhere. This is a person who has a business year after year after year, and they have things to consider, right? You've got to do the right thing. You just can't say you're banned and think that happens, because it doesn't, right? There's legal measures that you must take in order for that to happen. So it does take some time. Now, how much time? I can't tell you that. I'm not a legal a rep. I can't tell you. I just know that those things are in place for anything that you want to do. All right? So I guess that's some of the things you have to consider. But you also have to consider how he felt on that live that day. I felt uneasy for him when that question was asked the way that it was asked. And so I'm going to give you another example. I already gave you guys the pressure, right? Presentation is everything. Presentation is everything. It doesn't matter if you come into a woman or if you come into a man, because you know we all emotional creatures, right? And oftentimes we have emotional responses. Not something that's well thought out. We think it and bam, we say it and go on. And everything fall where it may. But does that work in an adult world? It should not. You have to be accountable. Just like you wanted that person to be accountable, you also have to be accountable, right? So when you begin to post group after group after group, multiple days, does that cross over? Is it now just accountability, wanting accountability? Or does that now say hostility, bullying? It depends on how you look at it, because it could be perceived as that. So you have to be careful. That's why, like, if you don't get your initial response in the way that it was presented, you change it. You don't continue to do the same thing over and over and expect different results. You're going to get the same exact results because you were posted in the same exact situation. If you said, you know what, let me inbox him, let me send him my number and say, can we talk? Can we have a conversation? On the same token, Snoop could have done the same thing. Let me inbox her, or does somebody have her number, and let's have a conversation. I don't know that happened on either end. Wasn't a party to that, so I can't say. I'm a solution-based person. So I'm trying to find the best solution to the problem. And so sometimes that takes more than one person to come over and say, okay, this is what I can do. I can extend, some grace, and we're going to do it this way. Now, I don't know the past relationships between the two. I don't know if they had relationships in the past where they haven't been able to talk. So I don't know that. That could be a factor. That could be a factor. But this is the thing. Presentation is everything. Okay, so you can have this, and I know you guys probably remember this because this stuck in my mind as a teenager when I heard Bill Cosby do it. He was talking, I think he was talking to one of his kids, and he said, you know what, I'm going to prepare this big juicy steak, right? I'm going to prepare this big juicy steak, and I'm going to take one, I'm going to have two steaks, I'm going to take one, and I'm going to present it on this plate. The plate is white, it's beautiful, the presentation is awesome, I have all my stuff around it like a chef does, and I'm going to offer it to you. And then on this other side, I have this same steak, same exact steak. It's juicy, it's beautiful, it even has the garnishments on it. But I'm going to take that steak and I'm going to put it on top of a trash can. The top of the trash can, right? The can top. And I'm going to present both of them to you. Which one are you going to take? I'm pretty sure if you eat meat, now if you don't eat meat, you ain't going to take neither one of them. That's clear. But if you like meat and you're hungry, I doubt if you're going to take that steak that was presented on the top of the trash can, the can top, right? You ain't going to take that. You're going to take the beautiful one over here that is on the white plate, garnished and have all the beautiful things on it. Because that's how it was presented. It was presented nicely, beautiful. This was presented ugly, and it's nasty. It's not going to get anywhere. It's all about the presentation, right? That's when things went wrong. Repetitive, demanding, posting across a number of pages, the same tone, the same framing, gives you the same result. It stopped being applied pressure and started feeling like a demand mixed with public pressure tactics that resulted in bullying. That's what it seemed like. Don't know what the intent was, but that is the public's perception. And that rarely provides solutions. Not real solutions. Maybe a temporary solution. Maybe banning from a page, things of that sort. But not a real solution, right? So then we have to start looking at how we are communicating. As adults, we have to look at a lot of things, guys. A lot of times you can look at the comments at any time, not just on this post, but with most posts, and people are really, they're really forced by their own emotional responses. Most times they do not take their time and think the proper way to communicate. You can't communicate when you're emotionally fired up. You just can't. It's not there. So sometimes you just got to sit back and relax and maybe talk to a friend that is a little more reasonable. Not your friend over here that like to fight and want to start trouble and like to keep, stuff going. Don't talk to them. They're not for that part.
They're another kind of friend, because you know you got friends that get different things, different viewpoints, right? You can't go to that one friend for everything, because they're not equipped to help you. They got all these past back traumas and, you know, childhood traumas and stuff they ain't worked through themselves. And they're advising you, and you taking that advice, and you running with it, and the public looking at you thinking, what is wrong with her or him? We got to do better. We've got to stop talking about all the stuff that's going on in the community and be emotionally charged about it. We have to start thinking how our thinking can affect the community. If it's not going to advance the community, then we should be quiet. Be quiet. Allow somebody else to be our spokesperson. Do not do it on your own, because it is not working out for you. It's not working out for us. And I don't like that scenario about crabs in a bucket. I don't. And that's what that reminded me of, when he was appointed this new position, and we should have been happy. First of all, I'm happy because I love going to the world's largest contest. I like seeing, I aim to be there one day myself, right? I love seeing that. Can you imagine if he didn't take that appointment and we didn't have that anymore? That's the one thing we have that is phenomenal within our community. That's the one biggest event that draws people from all over the country into Chicago, the Mecca. And you telling me that if he didn't take it, and if we keep on doing stuff that tarnish not only him, but the brand itself, I don't understand. And guys, I haven't looked at your comments yet. I'm going to go back and look at them shortly. I just want to make sure I don't miss any of these points, because I think they're all very important. They're all very valid. So I'm going to jump on the other side a little bit, because we do have to discuss both sides, because we want to be fair here. Okay. The other side was silence. For some, sometimes is necessary, and sometimes is not. However, I love the fact that when the response came out, he went above and beyond, and he broke that thing down to the purest factor. He let it be known that that type of behavior, it don't matter who it is, it's not acceptable. It don't matter if it's online, when it comes to an organization, in the building, at an event, at a stepper set, whatever, what have you. He broke it down. He did it in a professional, legal way. He covered everything he needed to cover to let you know, not only do we need to look at the past behavior of the young lady, we also have to look at your behavior, because it's all falling in the same bucket. It's all falling in the same bucket. She had one way, and now you're doing a different way. To me, those are on the same level, right? But they don't have to be. So now we have this in place for a situation like that. And I can only respect that. I shared that thing so fast. Because it needs to be, that should be something that we adopt across the board. Now, I can't say, me personally, this is my only personal belief, I can't say that I'm not against someone being banned. I'm not. I do realize that it can open up the door for people doing foolish things, because we're emotionally charged. Remember I said that? But if you have people who have a right concept, a right mindset, and understand how this affects our community, then I think it's very necessary, right? So it can't just be one person, and you can't have a personal agenda and be banning people all over the place, because you know that would happen. But if you had these certain things in place, if we know that you still doing that elementary stuff that they did on the playground out there or in high school, you can't get along with nobody. You cause more confusion and division than love and acceptance, and you're there to dance. Maybe more than one person should do. Maybe then more than one person should be responsible if it comes down to banning somebody from an event, because it just might be necessary. It might be necessary. If you're creating havoc across the community and division across the community, that person should not be allowed continuously, or you should be banned for a number of days. This should let you know that we are one accord in this community, And we don't want no more foolishness. We left that on the playground. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I walked as a child. I ate as a child. I did all as a child. But now I became an adult. I started doing adult things. And this is adult play. What we have in the dance community, whether it be stepping, ballroom, swing out, two-step, hand dance, keep going. It's so many. If you have somebody who's causing constant division and confusion, to the point where we feel like we got to have somebody at the door manning us, and we have to have firearms, and you started stuff, and then you got to have a firearm to protect you and all this. Now listen, I don't have no first-hand experience from none of this. This is hearsay. That part is hearsay. I don't know none of that. I just know what I heard. But my point is, if you're not here to dance, why are you here? That's why the rest of us are here. And this is my zen. And I don't like it disturbed. So we got to do better, and we got to be better. And the only way that can happen is we all stick together. Be that change that you seek. So, a few things that I want to leave with you guys. Emotional responses or reactions are not good. We've got to get away from that. We need to push away from the computer and from our laptop or whatever we use, our phones, when we emotionally charged, because it's not going to do us no good. Talk to your friend, get help, something. Call somebody in. Hey sister, call somebody in, let them know what you're thinking about doing. And maybe you should listen to what they're saying, because I'm sure they're not going to advise you to do something that's, decent and in order. They're not going to say, well, you should be quiet. Well, maybe they should tell you that. Maybe you need a new group of friends that can help you out in that area. Now, although we may have relationships like best friends or a crew, it doesn't mean that you can dictate or control another person's behavior. You cannot. You can tell them, you can advise them, but it's still up to them how they respond and what they do. And if it comes down to that, then you have decisions you have to make. Now, although you can't control a person as a leader, you do have to protect your brand. That's major. That says a lot. You have to protect your brand. And you have to give a clear expectation and have a clear conversation as to what your brand means and how you represent that brand. And if you're going to be in this here circle, you're going to have to comply with that. And I get it if you can't. And if you cannot, let me know. And then we just have to see each other in passing, because this brand is important. It's not just about me. It's about all the people that it affects. So you have to make sure that you have that conversation so they're clear. And if they care about you the way that you care about them, then they will comply with that request and that expectation. Because if one of my friends came to me and say, KT, what you're doing is hurting me. What you're doing potentially could hurt me and my brand. So I need you not to do this. I do realize you may have passion about it, but you can't do that under my brand. You can't do that and I be associated with you, because association is correlation to my brand. So then you have to make a decision. If they can't make that decision, then you have to make that decision. That's the way I see it. So now you have to ask yourself, it ain't about KT. It ain't about me at all. Was this applied pressure, bullying, or public demand? Or was it something personal? And where do we go from here? Because let me tell you something. We all fall short daily, right? All of us. Not one of us are perfect. Not one. Not me, not you, not you. We're not perfect, right? But when we fall down and we get up, we're supposed to do better. Or guess what? We're going to fall down again and again until we get that lesson. So where do we go from here? We got prelims coming up. We got the competition going up. We got Steppin events coming up. How are we going to be better? Are we going to let these things go and actually bond together like a community should? And that's not just Steppin. I'm telling you, it's all the different communities, because I don't just report on Steppin. I report on all the different communities. What are we going to do? How are we going to be better? How are you personally going to be better? Because I'm going to tell you right now, a rumor can't start, can't go nowhere if you don't take it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So let's go through these questions a little bit. Let me see if I can find this question, because I don't have no help tonight. Everybody's gone. Let me see if I can see some of these questions. Absolutely. So Reggie Miles said, regardless of the situation and surrounding circumstances, I'm supporting the new leadership because the new leadership needs support. Absolutely. And I feel the same way. And I'm going to do the same exact thing. It ain't what you say, Dr. Francine said, it ain't what you said, it's how you say it. It ain't what you do, it's how you do it. Absolutely. I'm down with that, Grand Rising. And thank you guys for joining the live. I was so into my points, I couldn't see what you guys were saying because I didn't want to get thrown off topic, because his sister could do that. I'd be all over here and then have to come back over here. So I had to stay where I was at. Yeah, he had a lot on his plate. And he still has a lot on his plate because he has prelims to get done. He has these things that he wants to implement. And I'm sure he's not going to implement everything at one time, but it takes time. It takes time for a lot of reasons. He's taking on this new assignment, guys. And you're talking about, how long did Pete have it under his tutelage? I know Reggie Miles. How long did he have it? Was it 30 years? Something like that? Well, on that, those are some big shoes to fill, right? Those are some big shoes to fill. So, but you already know that you have to take your time when you fill in new shoes, right? Because people are used to things the way they were. And the longer you've been in the organization, the older we get, let's be real, we have a hard time with change. But everything under the sun is going to change, y'all. Even in your era, I don't care how old you are, how long you've been stepping, how long you've been walking, how long you've been doing everything. Even back then, when you came in, something changed. Because change is real. That's the only thing that's consistent. Change and death. That's what's consistent. So it's going to change. But it doesn't mean you can't keep what you do alive. Excuse me, guys. You have to keep going with what you have. That's the bottom line. You can continue to tell the history. You can continue to tell the story. But it doesn't mean that there's not going to be some changes. There are going to be some. You got younger people coming in. Even when I came in, it had to be changed for me. I didn't know all the music I love now. I didn't know that music. I had no idea. Matter of fact, first that I went to, I walked in, I was like, I guess I ain't dancing tonight. Because I ain't know the music. And it couldn't resonate with me. I had to keep hearing it over and over for it to start to resonate with me. And that's the same thing. It don't matter if it's bop, 6 count, 8 count, whatever count. It's going to change. Just understand that each era can teach what it was, because people are going to want to know all the versions. When you're a lover of dance and when you're a lover of music, you're going to learn the old eras, the new eras. You're going to learn all of it, and you're going to embrace all of it. There's nothing better than going to a set and I get everything from the walking to the old school music. When I'm talking about old school, I'm talking old school, 50s and 60s and on up, and loving it. And then sometimes hear some stuff in the 90s. Now, I ain't down with what's going on right now with the music. I just can't. I mean, immediately a couple of Cardi B songs I'm okay with because they got a hook, But yeah, the music today is different than all the eras, in my opinion. So half that stuff I can't get with. And I just sit down. When that's played, I sit down. And Francine says we need to learn how to have healthy communication and conflict resolution. That's exactly what I'm talking about. This whole live was about conflict resolution. Understanding your approach. Understanding how you approach. And everybody's grown. Even the children, you don't want to speak to children any kind of way anymore these days, It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And give respect. You want respect, but you won't give it. You've got to be able to give respect that you want. And you've got to be able to present it in a way that is acceptable and that you're not automatically putting people on the defense. It's the same way in relationships. I can want something from my husband, right? And I can be passionate about it, right? And sometimes, you got to sit back and like, you know what? I've got to be able to phrase this to where he can receive it. Even though I'm in my feelings about this, let me take a couple of days and let me talk to him in a different way that I know that I'm going to reach his heart and I'm not going to put him on the defense. And that's how I have to approach the situation, because first I'm a man and y'all know how y'all are. Y'all sensitive. So do I want the best response or do I want a targeted response? I want his best. I want him to give me his best. Therefore, I have to give him my best. Let me see if there's any more comments out here. Y'all quiet today. Oh, Tanya said that she was pissed that he was put in the spot like that. Yep, I was too. And she said it was bullying. And then Francine said, right, and what is the real issue? And that's what we're trying to figure out. And Gia said, break it down, KT. And Snoop gave us some time to respond. His response was communicated professionally and well received. Absolutely it was. And Lynn John, I'm assuming she's talking about the actual event, the World Largest Steppers Contest, and she said it's a beautiful event. And Tanya said he should have taken time for his response. And his response was perfect. Oh, that's true. So Francine said we can't heal what we don't understand either. Well, that is true, unless you're Virgo. I go through, things that I'm a researcher, and I'm a person that I need to understand, life and the things that happen, right? So I'm always searching me. I'm always trying to figure out, my childhood traumas and things. And I have a lot of that down, and I realized that those things have shaped who I am. And I realized that we're not all the same. I don't make the mistake anymore of thinking we're all the same. But what I think we can do is be better. You may not be on this person's level or that person's level, but you can be better than you was before. You can be better than you were last year. But you got to want that, right? Because you know when something ain't right with you, because I sure do. I know if I done something wrong and I need to, repent about that thing or give an apology. I know. I don't know how y'all don't. But, that depends on, your relationship with the Lord. So I'm just going to say that because, everybody don't have that. But I challenge you to get that because I have it. And he keep me in check. That Holy Spirit it ain't no joke. So Vonda said, Roy says it's best. Stepping is a lifestyle. And change period takes time and years. It does. It sure does. Okay, so she said Pete had 26 years. Close enough to 30. And then Francine also said Rodney Burke and Anheuser-Busch was 9 years. So that was before Pete took it over, correct? And Reggie said yes. And then Dr. Francine said change includes culture, environment, people, etc. It would take time and not overnight. That's right. And people need to know that. But they also need to know that change is going to take place. Anytime you have a leader, you're going to have changes. And that's going to be harder. That's going to be hard for the community that's had things the same. And y'all, it don't matter what happens. It don't matter how great it is. Guess what? You would never, and I mean never, going to appease every person. Some people are natural complainers. Even if everything was the best, they're not going to tell you that. So don't be over here killing yourself trying to do everything you can possible to appease those people because they're just not going to be appeased. I learned that by my organization. Lillian said personal issues but valid questions definitely should have been asked at different times and place. Yep. Everyone's safety matters. Be the change you like to see. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And that's what I said. I believe that those are valid questions. I just believe they can be asked differently. And I also believe they didn't have to be asked that night. Allow him to have his moment. If we got to do better about that. Allow people to have their moments. You know, I was happy for him. So Snoop, we give you congratulations because we already know you taking on a big thing, and we congratulate Pete again on his retirement. But I know there's going to be great things to come. And that is what change management is. It takes time, absolutely. Social party dances change because of the music changes. Of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. The music is always going to change. Every era is going to change. Therefore, the dancers are going to change. And then Vonda said, yes, absolutely, KT. I'm not sure what she meant by that. I'm working on it and writing out for our community. What are you working on? Yeah, forgiveness. That's the biggest thing. Oh, are you? That is crazy, Francine. I didn't know that. You got to tell me when your birthday is. That is crazy. That's why we be thinking like we think. And then Barbara said, I think there needs to be more open dialogue where people can actually come together and work through these systematic problems we are seeing. I am so agreeing with you. And that's what I'm talking about. But you got to have a moderator that also can see both sides. Because honestly, most of the people, social media people that I see take sides. And it's not about sides. It's just not. As long as you keep taking sides, there's always going to be separation. But what you can do is allow both people to see the middle. If you can allow both people to see the middle, you've made a big difference. You've made a change. That's my goal. That's what I attempt to do. Because that's important. Because every time each side they have something valid. You may not see because you refuse to put yourself in their position. And my husband says, amen, you have to have genuine compassion for others. Absolutely, you do. For me, the jury is out on the new leadership. Before I criticize, I'm doing what I can to help. Yeah, well, let's change your wording, Reggie, and say, before I give constructive criticism. Because that's what it's going to be. Just because you don't agree with something doesn't mean that you're critical of it. It just means that you're going to give constructive criticism of what you think could be better. My husband says they complained about Frazier. Did they? I don't know. They probably did because they complained about everything. And then Reggie says, we're on the outside looking in, have no idea of the pressure of the new leadership faces. Well, you know, I have an idea. I mean, you're talking about 26 years. You're going in to play somebody who's been in that position 26 years. You have all these you're gonna implement new things. People don't like change. You already got to change your leadership. Now you're going to change the order or possible order. You may make people qualify initially and then they get disqualified before they get to the actual stage. I like that, but it don't mean everybody is. There's going to be people who's not going to like that either because they're used to getting straight on that stage. But guess what that means? They always talk about get your weight up. That's what they're talking about. Because now you're going to just be able to get up there and do anything. You're going to have to come with it. And when I be looking back at them videos, okay, she said, me and Reggie, we each to clean our heart, place, mind space, etc., and allow room for forgiveness. Absolutely. That's the biggest thing. No, y'all both Virgos? Crazy. Y'all them August Virgos, though. Y'all look different. All right. I definitely need a moderator who can hear and see both sides. That's absolutely necessary. Absolutely necessary because otherwise you're going to have confusion. Especially if you have a person or a social media person taking sides with one or the other. If you can't see both sides, you don't need to be a moderator because that's what it is. You're supposed to be neutral. But you're able to bring those things that are important. Before we go any further, I need to go ahead and get some information out to you guys. The next events that I'm going to be attending. But I need to get my sponsor out first. We have the Black and White Steppin Ball, Labor Day weekend. It's going to be home on the $5,000 Keeping It Walking Alive contest. It's going to be September 3rd through the 6th, and that's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia. The fire sale will end on April 30th. Y'all better get going. Y'all got 4 days. You got 4 days to get that fire sale. That's going to be in Atlanta. It's $130 per night. If you would like more information, you're going to go to the steppersgetaway.com. That is the steppersgetaway.com. Of course, if you have any additional questions, be sure to go to Sarah Teagle's page. She has all the information there. But always go to the steppersgetaway.com for all your direct information. Oh, you're very welcome. Gia said, KT, thank you for being a voice of reason, providing open dialogue in our community. That is my goal. That is my goal. Yes, Reggie said Chicago elders have already cemented themselves in their mindsets. Well, then one thing that I do know about elders is that they're wise. But I also know that if the right person is having a conversation with them, not a debate, not an argument, then they're able to see other sides. You know, they're able to see it. Give them the benefit of the doubt, but be sure that you have the right person in front of them, that they can see it and they can be open to something new. Because most times people are closed because they've been put on the defense. They feel like something's been taken away from them. If we're not, the same way that a lot of people who are a part of the culture now, right? They're a part of the culture now. And they want homage to be given to them. But they haven't given homage to the elders that gave them the dance. So that those elders are saying, we matter too. Right? We matter too. And you have all these requirements now that the elders didn't put on you. So that brings conflict. So if we can get out on one accord, that's why I keep saying this is a Chicago issue. Chicago has to come together. And when I say to come together, it's not going to be everybody. There's no way that you'll be able to get everybody to come together on one accord. So you have to start with a core group. You have to start with a core group. Now, how are you going to get to that core group is also going to be a challenge, because you know everybody wants to be the head Indian, right? But the ones that are active, the ones that are pouring into the community over and over, the ones that can be worked with, because if it's all about you, it ain't going to happen. They need to come together, and that's how the coalition needs to come. It don't need to be 25 people in a room. You're never going to get an agreement there. But if you have 5 active people who are not just know how to dance, but they understand business, they understand history, they have relationships, they have the dance, they know how to teach, they understand how to run everything. You get 5 of those in and place alternates in with them, you guys can do something amazing. But it starts with you guys. It starts with you guys, and it trickles down to everybody else. All right, so let's see. Ted Massey said preliminaries and all other events means everyone can go to the finals except for Chicago Steppin. Yeah, that's true. Basically what he's saying is that all the other dance styles have an elimination event, so everybody don't go to the final stage. He said only Chicago Stepping are there no eliminations before, meaning during the preliminaries. And then Tanya said she wanted to see elimination so bad. Start with order in Robert's Rules of Order. Now you're gonna have to educate me on that one. And she said Reggie tried that years ago. Well, just because it didn't work before doesn't mean it won't work now. If you have the right people in place, if you have the right balance, and if you have the proper communication skills, it can happen. But the thing is, you have to have a plan. You know, Reggie, you already know this. Write the vision and make it plain, right? So write your vision. When you're writing the vision, you're going to get input. You're going to get input because people want to feel wanted. People want to feel wanted. They don't even have to know they're getting input. So get together a plan, present it, have people vote. Have people vote on the first 5. And you can do elimination that way too. There's anything is possible. You can get it done. It's just going to take energy, time, because people are fickle. People want to be in charge. But you already know when people are in charge, if they're really not a person that's a leader, it's going to fall to the wayside. So it needs to be a group of leaders that understand that even as a leader, you have to be able to follow. Oh, so I did that first event. We also have coming up, Steppin by the Bay. It's going to be June 26th through the 28th in Pensacola, Florida. That is Earlene Hino's group. Go to Steppin by the Bay. There is a group associated with that. And you can also look under her actual Earlene Hino's page to get additional information. That event you don't want to miss, especially if you love beautiful waters, because the Saturday day set is by the ocean. It's in the atrium type covering. Beautiful, beautiful breeze, beautiful time. She feeds you the whole weekend, guys. When I tell you eat the whole weekend, you eat the whole weekend. All right? Then we have the laid back kickback that's happening August 7th through the 9th in Savannah, Georgia. That is the laid back kickback crew. Y'all know them. So be sure to go to the page right now. They're having a sale for the guys. Guys, don't wait. Don't delay. Go and check it out on the laid back kickback page. Tanya, put any specific information in there, please, about the group, about the sale. If you can add the flyer, please, so be sure to do that. Absolutely. We're still talking about the contest. So, guys, I don't know if you guys have anything else. Be sure, guys, to join the We the People page. It is a separate page. And we're going to be revealing the new logo soon. We're going to be revealing the new logo soon. If you did not make the cut for the first logo, there's going to be multiple additions to the logo for the We the People. But we're going to be having the reveal soon. And you guys see this shirt? This is the original shirt with yours truly on the back. And in the background, we have fictitious people. On the new logo, it's going to be me along with all the people across the country that Chicago Step. And those shirts will be available for sale. We're going to have a link that you can get, but you can also contact Sarah Tico directly for your copy. You can request an original, or you can request the new logo once we reveal the new logo. That's going to be coming out soon. Don't forget to join us this Tuesday as well. We are going to be on live talking to 3 of the promoters for the events I just mentioned. We're going to be doing the black and white Labor Day weekend promoter, which is going to be Sarah Tico. We're going to do the layback kickback crew, which will be Tanya and Nicole. And we're also going to do Earlene Hino for Steppin by the Bay. So we'll have those on, having intimate conversations with the promoters. Please join us then. And guys, remember, anytime that you're on the live, be sure to like the page. Be sure to give us the hearts. Those actually widen the algorithms so that we can reach a wider audience. Be sure to do that. It doesn't take much. Just click on it, so we can get those hearts on the page, hearts and likes on the page, so that we can have a wider reach. Be sure to join the We the People page. That information is also out there where you can actually join that page because that's going to give us a quicker way to expand that page as well. We currently can't go live on that page because it has not been in existence for 60 days yet. So I met the first requirement about the number of followers, but we still have to work. We have to make the second page as well. Be sure to join that as well, guys, if you haven't. And be sure to share it. Share this live and also share the We the People, because it's about you. It's about the people. It's been so many times that I've been on podcasts and I've listened and shared. I've listened to the people that are on the podcast, and they only recognize certain people. If I did not speak to you in a podcast, it's because I didn't see you. If I see you, I'm going to speak to you because we all matter. We are the people. So that is the reason why We the People came to fruition, because I felt like certain people were invisible. And that's unacceptable because our money is the same color. We spend the same amount of money. We go to the events. Therefore, we should all be on the same playing field. Therefore, that's why I started We the People. So thanks, guys, for joining. We're at our hour. We're actually a few minutes over. Don't forget, on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us again on the live, only on my live, okay? So we will see you guys then. I hope that you guys have an amazing night. And even if you don't have an amazing night, it doesn't stop you from being amazing. Y'all have a great one. Peace.